Hi there, and welcome to 3Spoonies. We're your hosts, Joe, Karen, and Claire. And this is episode number 15, where we're discussing horror stories because it's Halloween. So join us as we dive in.
The Awards People is a specialist award-writing agency who help you get the recognition you deserve for your achievements. Over the years, they've gotten to know about and meet so many individuals, charities, companies, and organisations that offer amazing products and services, but who rarely get recognised for it, or who enter awards but never get further than the nomination stage. This is where the Awards People come in with their experience and expertise in writing multi-award winning applications. Whether you're looking for initial research into what awards are available for you to enter, or support with your award nominations and/or award submission forms, the Awards People are the people for you.
Hi there, I'm Joe from Bright Cat Business Solutions.
I'm Karen from Pony Pony Pony.
And I'm Claire from Sparkle's Gift Boutique.
And together we're 3Spoonies navigating our way through life and business with not enough spoons. So this is our Halloween episode, or one of two, because obviously we have our community questions afterwards. We're going to be talking about horror stories in life, business, and sort of our medical doodads. And some of them might be a little bit sensitive or a little bit horrific. That's your warning. Would one of you like to start?
Yeah, I will. For me, actually, some things can go very wrong with people who should know better or are trying to do the right thing. So, for instance, when I was at uni, it was decided there'd be a disabled students week to sort of address issues, bring in concerns, things like that. And there were a number of missteps, should we say. So at one point, it was decided that some members of the student union should borrow some wheelchairs for a week and go around in wheelchairs to see what the difficulties were. And it was like, could we not ask actual wheelchair users? Because there are going to be things that maybe we consider a problem that they don't, because that's what they deal with every day, or they'll pick up on things that we don't. There's also known problems like the media building when the lift stops between the two floors at least once a day. So, how about we talk to people first? The best bit of that week, or not the best bit, was it was decided that we should have a meeting that we should invite disabled students to. Fair enough. But this meeting was held upstairs in a building with no lift and no way to get up to that floor. So, yeah, it didn't go down as well as it could have, I'd say. Do you have any examples of things where it's someone who should have known better and didn't?
Like, it kind of fits with it, but it kind of doesn't. So when I had my first ever PIP assessment, it was one of those things, didn't really want to apply for it, but I knew I needed to.
Mm.
And, it took me a long time to get around to this process. And I wasn't a fan. I was having a really bad day, but I took someone with me because I was like, I just need the support.
Mm.
Went through it all. It came back and it was like, you've scored this and this. But when I got declined for it and like I spoke to them, they're like, you can appeal it. And I was like, can I get a copy of what they've put so I can see what I've been marked down on?
Mm.
Her answers didn't even match up to what I told her in our face-to-face assessment. And I'm just like, how? And this isn't against all people, just to put it out there. I'm not angry at all of you. It's just that one person. It's like, how can you be giving someone an assessment face to face and be typing things in there that aren't even happening in that situation? Like, it made it a 10 times more stressful situation. I had to go through the appeal and the tribunal and all of that kind of stuff. And it just kind of puts a bit of a bad word out there for people that need PIP and need to even think about getting it, because I know I hear horror stories from so many people now, and they're so demotivated to go through it, and it's like, yeah, I get it, because
Like the process is going to make you ill. Never mind if you're
it's
already.
so stressful. Like, I have to do my review. I'm 2 years into my review and it's still happening, but that's a whole other story. But I have to do Dylan's I had to do Dylan's DLA to PIP. So Dylan is my son who's autistic. And that was quite a chore because you have to fill in so many forms. And obviously you're focusing on all the things in life that you cannot do and that you can't cope with, which is quite stressful. And yeah, it's just quite depressing. So I'm classing that as a bit of a horror story because it's just bloody depressing.
Yeah,
I think we could do an episode on PIP in the future. I think that's quite plausible.
I feel like that could be a rant at the system.
yes, it could. And at some point, I'm pretty sure we will. Because like access to work, it's another big topic. I've got one when I was trying to get diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, because I knew I'd had ruptured cysts, because they knocked me off my feet in the middle of the night, and I was in absolute agony. My periods were awful, my moods were awful, and I would literally sort of come in waves of pain. And where am I going with this? And I'd actually blacked out occasionally and ended up on the floor because they were that painful. And I can grow a fantastic beard if I don't shave. So I eventually got to see a specialist, and I saw his registrar, and he basically went through a list and went, yeah, it looks like you've got it. Because it's a syndrome, it's a collection of symptoms. And yeah, he went down the list and went, yeah, it looks like you've got it. Then I saw the consultant, and he was the most bored, blasé person I've ever met. He was very dismissive. And he was like, you're probably just fat.
I hate it when they do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with that medical bias all my life. But, PCOS makes you gain weight and makes it really difficult to lose it as well. But yeah, he was very blasé. And then I went to have an ultrasound, and they couldn't get a good picture of my ovaries and weren't allowed to do an internal one at that point. And then I got a letter saying, no, you're just fat. Which I knew they couldn't get a good picture, and I knew I ticked all those boxes. So it's like, all right, well, these days I'm diabetic, I'm on the medication for it anyway. And I don't want a baby. So, it's not a problem. So long as I keep on my mini pill, it's fine. If I don't, that is a horror story. My body absolutely hates me. But yeah, it's just that medical diagnosis or medical bias of A, you're a woman, because we all know there's that one, and B, you're overweight. Therefore, everything is either not a problem at all, or it's because you're fat.
Yeah, I went through that when I was going through getting my diagnosis for fibromyalgia.
I'm looking forward to that.
It took about 5 years to get my diagnosis. I went for so many blood tests and different fit scans and stuff like that. And I'd keep going back to my doctors and be like, look, nothing has changed. I'd already changed my diet. I was already eating healthy, like no processed foods, things like that. And he was just like, well, you're overweight. And I was slimmer than I am now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, really? Like, I'm not. But it was basically, yeah, you're overweight and this is your problem. It's not. Then I moved house, moved doctor, and I just wrote her a list of every single symptom of different things that I have. And there was like 6 of them. And she's like, yeah, that's not normal. And within 2 months of a new doctor, I'd been to see the neurologist and stuff and got my diagnosis. So I was like, yay. But that process was so draining.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely one of those, the longer it takes, I'm just like, oh, sod it, I'll just cope with it and deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, it took me 20 years to get diagnosed with migraines.
Yep.
Because everybody went, oh, just take some paracetamol, take some ibuprofen. It's not a problem. It wasn't a problem until work had tracked how often I was off with a migraine, and it was taking me longer and longer to recover, because obviously they go in cycles and they get worse and they get a little bit better, but they never go away.
Yeah.
And it took a doctor who has migraines to listen. And it took
I think sometimes it's finding that doctor, and if there's a few at your surgery, sometimes it can be worth asking for a different one. Or it's like you're saying about migraines and the pill. I was told for years, oh, you can't go on the pill because of your migraines, which I just accepted. And then years and years and years later, there was a locum at the practice who said, oh, you can go on the mini pill though. And I was like, I can what? Like, excuse me? What?
Oh, yeah, when I found this doctor that was like, yeah, no, that's definitely not right. Don't know what your doctors were thinking of. Every time I went I had to go back to them for something. I was just like, I want it with that one though. And it was just
Yeah.
like, oh, she's not here at the moment. When's she back? When's she free? Because I will wait.
Yeah.
And it's also where you find information from, because I just accepted that I couldn't be on the pill because a doctor had said, and multiple doctors had said, and I just accepted that. And it's sometimes I found that some charities are absolutely amazing and others less so. And I think some are run by, should we say, some well-meaning people who have a bit of time on their hands. And there was one national charity I know of for an illness. Let's say it was Hertie Left Arm UK. And there was a treatment coming out for Hertie left arms. NICE guidelines said it wasn't going to be prescribed. It said because there are cheaper options, and didn't say what the options are. I suspect it would be 2 paracetamol sort of thing. So we were going to lobby our MPs about this. It was decided by Hertie Left Arm UK that only representatives of the charity could go, not people who are affected by Hertie left arms. And they were quite clear about this, that they didn't want people who are actually ill cluttering the place up. And we found out afterwards that there were no board members that actually had Hertie left arms, because in the words of one of the high up people with Hertie left arms are too poorly to actually do the job and be reliable. So there was no one high up in this very large national charity who actually had the condition, or many who didn't even have a relative with the condition or anything else. It's like, I feel you're doing it wrong. Or sometimes charities can be a bit tone deaf. Like there was one they were trying to put out a campaign about hidden disabilities. And the idea was supposed to be like, you don't know who's got a disability. People don't always disclose, and people are dealing with things you don't see necessarily. But the campaign came across as, you'd think Hemon was normal, but she's mental. It was, I can see what they were trying to do, but
Land.
I feel
They didn't think it through.
No, I suspect that maybe consulting people on that one might have been helpful, because I think it may have actually done a fair bit of damage. So,
Yeah. I mean,
yes.
general workplace stuff, I would never disclose like all the things wrong, especially my mental health. I mean, these days, I'm loud and proud. It's like, I am disabled. It's a thing. I work around it. And it's what my clients need to know. But, never disclose it to an employer. And because there is that bias, or at least you expect there is that bias after like a bunch of issues.
I think it does depend on the employer, and it can also depend how you phrase things. And I think it can be one where it's definitely worth getting advice beforehand, because you don't want to not disclose anything and then there's problems. Or sometimes it's things that can easily be put in place if an employer knows about it. But yeah, it's definitely one where it's worth getting advice on it.
Yeah, it's not an easy one to navigate. Okay, so guys, it is time for some spoonfuls of loveliness and loads of great things from our sponsors.
Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed by your business? Big dreams and ambitions, but struggling to put them into place? It's time for you to kapow. Your way to success with Sheena at Kapow, your super business coach. Say goodbye to the chaos and welcome a coaching style that puts you in the driver's seat. At Kapow, Sheena is all about helping ambitious business owners like you take control of your journey with personalized coaching sessions designed to fit your unique needs, your goals, your dreams. It's your agenda, your journey. No cookie cutter approaches here. Sheena puts you in the driver's seat so you can achieve your goals on your terms. Are you ready to take control and unlock your business's full potential? Say goodbye to the hustle and hello to the saner way of growing your business. With Sheena at Kapow, you'll get support, guidance, and motivation you'll need to thrive. Visit kapow.me to find out more and to schedule your first session today. That's kapowme.com. Let's kapow your business together. Kapow, your super business coach, because success starts with you. You struggling in the constantly changing world of marketing? You unsure how to wrangle your strategy or to corral your content to attract your next customer? Well, hold on to your hat because help is now here. At Escape the Village, we're not just another marketing consultancy, we're your trusted marketing experts, ready to ride alongside you. Check out our blog for marketing insights or join the Stampede to meet our herd. And if you've got questions, just holler. With over 3 decades of marketing wisdom under our belts, we are more than just another shiny, trendy agency. We're your partners in success. And here's a little something extra for you. Mention this podcast and we'll happily rustle up a 10% discount on our strategy focus hour. Plus, we'll throw in a free mini audit too to sweeten the deal.
Welcome back to our episode on horror stories, where we've been discussing our medical horror stories, and now we're going to discuss our business horror stories. Claire, you sounded like you had one.
Oh, I have quite a few. That sounds so bad. There's different levels of business horror stories. Like, one of the toughest things I went through when I started out in my business was the amount of people that you have in your life that you think will be like really supportive, like, you know, you're like, oh, you know, going through like this medical change in life, health issues, really supportive. And it's like, oh, you need to go and get a proper job. What you're doing isn't a job. So when you're already suffering with your mental health and stuff like that, that to me was quite a horrific time, because you're just like, I'm trying to keep myself going, and you know, all you're getting is the negativity and the pushback and all of that stuff. But the main bugbear in my life is I give out to people, and on my website it's widely advertised, the turnaround time, because I have to give myself days just in case I'm having a bad day. And I can get an order come through, say 10 o'clock at night, and about 8 o'clock the next morning. Oh, have you got a picture of my order yet? How's it looking? Have you posted it yet? No. And I've actually had people get quite aggressive that it's not done yet. It's not instantly sent out, demand a refund. And it's just like, how have you ordered this and not realised it's from a small business when it's given, you know, I put so much out there to kind of help you that it's a small business. And they just don't seem to get it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a client, or had a client, she's on hiatus, who wanted to run an event, and then she changed her mind on what she was doing, and then she got ill. So when she eventually got around to running the event, everything was urgent. Everything needed to be done like last week. And she wasn't getting the things to me and someone else who needed it to do, like everything we needed to do. And then she'd get stressed and send us voice notes. And like then she'd change her mind again on what was happening. And it was a whole mess. But including, she wanted me to attend the event to like do the desk, because it would be useful for me to network with people. And AKA she wasn't paying me, but I could go for free and she'd pay for food. That was annoying, but I did point out that unless I actually absolutely needed me there, no, I wouldn't be. And she sent me a voice note saying, or a message saying that she wasn't sure how committed I was to the event and the business, and she'd really like me to be there. I just sent her a message back saying, I don't think you understand how ill I am, and that taking a day out to do something, I have to prep for it several days in advance, and it will take me several days to recover, as well as, you know, if you're asking me to do anything physical, I'm not going to last a day. At which point she changed her tune a little. But yeah, just the fact that everything was urgent, everything needs doing now. It's like, you're not my only client. And I have to plan around what everybody needs doing. Yeah, that was really stressful. And the other person that was working with would message me saying that she wanted to shake her because they were busier than I was. And she'd sort of give me something to do, change her mind, give it to them, and sort of vice versa. And it was a mess.
I mean, I've created my own horror stories for myself before. I've had too much work on, worked too many hours when I'm in too much pain, and I'll be making something, and then I'll be like, shit, I've done it wrong. And it's just like, okay. But I don't always realise on the first one, if I'm doing like a bulk order or something, I might get a few in and then kind of realise, oh, you know, need to redo this. And then it's, you know, we create our own horror stories. The amount of times I've had to reorder something and be like, I need some more blanks because I've messed up this and have to start again. And
Yeah. I mean, last week I had a really busy week, and to the point we were recording our podcast on a Wednesday. By the end of Tuesday, I felt like I'd already done a heavy week's work, to the point my fingers weren't working anymore. And then I wondered why I crashed and burned on Thursday and spent most of the day in bed.
Yeah, I
that'll
think
do
that's
it.
the difficulty with being up and down, is it's something when you're always sort of at the same point, it's easier to plan for things, whereas sometimes you'll have a wibble or a crash, and then there's only so much you can do. And there's also, again, that sort of reverse imposter syndrome when you think, am I actually that sick, or could I try a bit harder? So I'd cancelled something at the weekend and I felt dreadful about it, and I was letting people down, but there was no way I could have done it. And after I decided I wasn't going, I went back to bed and then I slept for 12 hours. So clearly I was ill.
Yeah.
But it can be difficult sometimes. You think, am I being difficult? Which is another thing. If you've been labelled as difficult in the past, it's like, I know someone who was at a conference and there was a signer there. And she said, oh, that's good, because otherwise she would have found it really difficult to engage. And partway through, the signer had noticed that she was watching her. And the signer said, oh, are you deaf? And that's quite a loaded question, if someone's deaf with a capital D or not. And she sort of had a bit of a panic and she signed back, oh, I'm hard of hearing. And at that point, the signer just got up and walked out.
Oh no.
So
And she's
rude.
like, okay, but like I was following what you were signing, and now like this room's really echoey and I'm really struggling.
Struggling. Yeah.
Yeah. And there wasn't a loop for a hearing aid, and it's like, and she sort of went, oh, should I have lied in that case? And it's like, so clearly something had been put in place and then was removed. And
Wow.
I find that utterly bizarre, because
It's disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be an absolute nightmare for her and so overwhelming. And just, if that was me, I'd have wanted to have just left and gone home. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's, I mean, it definitely was reported as being an issue, and, absolutely fair play. But it's also when there's that thing that makes something accessible to you and it's then gone. I saw something, it was someone was planning their wedding and their other half is deaf and is used to everything coming through a translator and sign language. And it was decided for the wedding they were going to sign their vows, and then that would be translated to the rest of the audience verbally.
Oh,
And
that's
people
sweet.
complained about that, like, well, why should I have a delay? And it's like, do you mean why should I not be privileged for like 5 minutes
it's their
of my
wedding.
life?
Yeah.
What the?
And it was honestly something. The comments were like, oh, well, everything's about these people who haven't got this, that, and the other, and
Yeah,
it's like,
including one of the couple.
it's
I
their
mean, it's their
wedding.
wedding.
Yeah.
It's like if their first language was French and their vows were going to be in French, and there's a printed out translation or someone's going to translate to English. Do you know what? It's their wedding. Like,
People, I know this is going to sound really harsh, but some people just feel like they're so entitled.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a really horrible way at all. And I probably get some backlash for this now. But some people just expect it to be like to cater around them. And it's like,
what? Yeah, I
no.
think the phrase that sticks out to me is, if you're used to privilege, then equality feels like you're being discriminated against.
Yeah. And it's true, because we see it all the time.
Yeah, or just people enforcing things. I've seen so many things enforced, apparently for disabled people, but disabled people have not been consulted on it. It's like somewhere I used to work, it was decided that everything had to be in Comic Sans because that helped the dyslexics. And I'm like, well, we are the dyslexics. We already use a sans serif font. Like, we cannot use Comic Sans because like this was post-16 learners. Some of them have problems with being treated like a baby as it is. And if we're making everything look like a nursery, maybe it's not helpful. But it's like, so here I am with my green dyslexia filter because you've not provided the minutes for the meeting on green paper and you're telling me it has to be in Comic Sans. And it's like, does it though?
Someone needs to just burn that font and just erase it. It needs to go. It really does.
I'm very fussy with fonts, I'll admit, but on the other hand, we were told that having different colours of paper was a luxury. So like, does a ream of, say, green paper cost more than a ream of white paper? Yes, it does. So the head of service had to approve every single purchase of colourful paper because it was seen as a luxury. And I said, okay, that's great, but for like a tenner, we could get enough coloured paper for 2 young people to pass their course. Like, honestly, it's not that big of an expense. And we tried to get lots of different coloured paper because we didn't want to go, here's white for you, oh, green for you, white for you, yellow for you. It's just, everyone have the colour you like. I don't know anyone who's not helped by having a colour of paper rather than white. And they were like, oh, is that really necessary though?
Now I want to get rid of
It's
all the white paper that I use and just have coloured paper for everything.
Yeah.
So it just sounds more fun as well.
But that's some of them would color code things for different subjects, things like that. It's like it costs slightly more, but realistically, it's
Yeah, but if
paper.
it makes something more accessible for everybody, then you
Yeah.
should do it.
And people will probably find it more fun and engaging because it's different.
Absolutely. It's like, as I said, I've never come across anyone who wasn't helped, possibly by the wrong colour, but by a colour generally did seem to help for attention span. Or like there were lots of people who were like, oh, I don't lose my place when I do this. And it's like, yeah, I discovered that with green paper. It was an absolute revelation, but it's such a small thing. And exam boards won't give you exam papers on different colours of paper. So in the morning, when everyone is rushing around like a headless chicken trying to get exams sorted, they're having to photocopy things onto different colours of paper.
Ah.
And I suppose it has to be last minute because they can't send the exams out in advance because someone might get them and they cheat. But it does make things like exams really stressful if you've got 6 people who need things on 6 different colours of paper. And it's like, why don't exam boards do that? Because you have to apply to them months and months in advance to say this person needs this, person
Surely,
needs this.
yeah, I'm just thinking, surely it wouldn't be that hard for them to kind of just print out for the people that need it. Like,
Yeah, well, it's also, everyone else has a proper exam booklet and you've got like some piece of paper that might be ever so slightly wonky where it's gone through the copier and it's
stapled wrong or something, or
yeah, or on some of the colours you can't quite see some of the diagrams as well. And it's like, no, this really needs to be done properly. And it's having been involved with student exams, it's not. It's an absolute kerfuffle. It's a headache. You can find people have got lost or things have been forgotten, or it's sort of right from the start, it's putting people at a disadvantage, and that's the opposite of what should be happening, really.
yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy. So, have you got any more business stories, shall we say?
Mm.
I've got one that's currently in progress. A
Mm.
client of mine paid a company to create her new website. And she didn't like it. It wasn't what she wanted. So she asked for changes and they pushed back. And so she went in and made some changes. And as I was going through it, finding things that were wrong, I went in and made some changes. And I'm building part of it. And then all of a sudden, nobody had access anymore because the web developer has removed our access so they can finish it because people keep making changes and it's a problem.
But if it's the changes that she wants,
it is the changes that she wants. Unfortunately, what they seem to be doing is putting it back to how they want it. All because my client pointed out that certain things she hadn't done, she wasn't paying for, basically. Yeah, so that's currently ongoing. That is a nightmare because we were ready to launch something on there last week. I went in to try and finish it off and make everything pretty, and it's all gone wrong.
I'm guessing they won't give her back access or you access.
Not currently. Currently, there is a holding page saying something exciting's happening. We'll be back shortly. And
Not,
as far as we know, they could have deleted everything.
I was gonna say, because that's like they're just holding her website hostage. I'd
Yeah.
be fuming.
Yeah.
She is. I am. Because if they've deleted everything I've done, that's hours of work they've paid me to do that they're losing. It's whatever they're doing that's wrong that's going to need fixing. And yeah, this could end up in a court battle.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you don't want to go there, but
Needs must.
And I'd also suggest, like, because their websites are .com, it's like, if you have to go through a court battle to get your website back, buy the .co.uk and I'll build it. So because currently they don't have a website, they're not selling anything.
You know, they need a website.
yeah, loss of
definitely.
earnings as well. That's huge.
Yeah, as well as
Yeah.
whatever it's going to cost me to build it.
That makes me think back to when I first set up a website at the start of lockdown, because I was obviously just doing like local stuff at school fairs and local markets and stuff. And obviously lockdown happened and I was like, oh, do I keep on with my business? Do I just wait and see what happens for a couple of months? And a couple of my friends were like, this is the perfect time to set up a website. You've already bought the domain name just in case. Set it all up through the provider, who shall remain nameless, designed it all myself. And I was really proud of myself. I was like, I've done really well for me because I know nothing about this stuff. It was all going smoothly for a little bit. And then I went to go, someone messaged me and was like, yeah, there's nothing there. I don't know what. So I've gone to have a look and my website didn't exist. They had actually accidentally deleted it.
Accidentally?
And I was like, what? And I was like, but how? Don't understand this. Well, obviously, because it's deleted, I couldn't get it back. I had spent hours, and obviously, I was teaching myself how to do things at the same time. This is actually probably my biggest horror story in business. I was livid. I wanted to cry. I was like ready to give up, and I was just like, I don't want to do this all again. Obviously, I did because I'm still here. But oh yeah, the trauma of that, I haven't got over that actually. It's still there a little bit. It
Make
still
sure
hurts.
you own your domain name and also backups. And I know it's easy to say, and I ended up doing backups on the same server as my website, which with hindsight, yeah. And my website ended up being taken down by the FBI. This was the first Spoonie, which was like a webzine.
What were you doing?
Well, I was interviewing bands, so I must have just like had a go at one of the bands they liked or something. I don't know. But it was taken down. I'm like, it's a UK domain, it's on a UK server, and their response was, "We're the FBI, deal with it." Like, that wasn't how it was put, but yeah, and all the backups were on the same server and they were all taken down. And I'm not sure if I
Oh my God.
realised they were on the same server because the setup was a bit weird, but because they offered like a backup service and I sort of went, oh yeah, that's worth doing. But it's one of those things that you only realise quite how much you need it when it all goes pear-shaped.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
a lot
that
of things
is,
like that.
yeah. I mean, I do mine through a third party now, and I still own my domain name. And part of me is like, maybe I should go back to building the website and having it all in one place. What I do every month from where it's hosted, do like a backup of everything, just so that I know what's there in case it happened again.
Yeah, it's amazing how much stuff there is on a website, even if you think, oh, I've only really got a few pages, like the amount of
I don't.
details or the links you'd have to look up, or
When
yeah,
you've seen
I
mine.
mean, yours are probably considerably larger, but yeah, and that's, my goodness, what a kerfuffle. And
I'd forgotten all about that until you mentioned website crap. It's just like, oh yeah, that was my biggest nightmare.
Websites can be trauma.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, my first website, I spent an entire weekend sort of working on it and upgrading it and everything. And then I came to it Monday morning and it didn't work. Nothing worked. And I went to the person who currently actually hosts my website because she was a client, well, she is a client of mine. And it was like, something's gone wrong. You're a website person, she'll figure it out. She did. Eventually, there was a problem between plugins and then there was lots of other problems. And so it was basically, your website's dead. It's like it's functional but barely. And at that point, because I was talking about rebranding, at that point I decided to rebrand and build a new website. And so yeah, from one weekend of just pottering around, fixing some, sort of doing some bits, it took about a month to then get the new one up and running. And it was very much not like how I've just relaunched my website. and it's now much prettier and organised. There's a lot more on it. But at that point, I was throwing stuff up, so there was something there.
Yeah.
And it's much less stressful doing it the other way, sticking it in staging and working on it while that one's still there doing its thing. Oh, the scariest bit was then cloning it back over. It's like, please don't go wrong.
Yeah.
I spent a month and a half on this in my spare time. Thankfully, it didn't. But yeah. Anyway, I should probably wrap up. Usually we ask for some tips, but I'm not sure you can offer tips with horror stories.
I think you can, no matter what stress that is thrown at you, take a breath and just don't let it get you down. Just keep on going, like
Good
learn
point.
from it.
Mm.
And as for medical bias, you can always ask for a second opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, that, and don't judge other people, which you'd think would be simple. But like, I had an occasion when I was sat on one of the flip down disabled seats on a train with my very obvious, very large orthopedic cushion, and someone asked, well, what kind of disabled are you? And I was like, I'm dyslexic. Was it the most helpful way to answer? No, but I didn't have a
No.
copy of my MRI scan to show my messed up ruptured discs. And I was like, I am not playing with this. And also straws. The self-righteousness over plastic straws. Like, I've seen things like no one's died from not having a plastic straw. Yes, actually there are cases where people have died. It's awful. That, and paper straws don't always bend, and if you've got limited mobility or you can't move your neck, a paper straw isn't going to work. Plus, paper straws,
drink.
yes, or sometimes the sealant or the glue on paper straws as well is made of gluten or shellfish, which isn't listed. So if you've got an allergy or you're trying to keep kosher, that is an issue. So you could have reaction based on a paper straw. So yes, some people do need plastic straws. Does everyone know? But can we not be so self-righteous about something that can really help people? And honestly, like, a few people using plastic straws isn't going to destroy anything, but you could absolutely ruin someone's day by being self-righteous. So no, stop.
I say bring back plastic straws. I miss them.
Me too.
Although, complete side topic as we round up, we went to the social club across the, like at the back of one of the pubs from ours for the first time, just to go and like see what it was like. And they have plastic straws in a box at the bar that you can help yourself to. Never been so happy in all my life. Just at the fact that I didn't have to worry about having a straw, drinking my drink that went to mush. Honestly, it's the little pleasures.
It really is. So as you can tell, we could rant about these type of things for hours, and we will pick another ranty topic at some point soon. So thanks for joining us, Three Spoonies, on episode 15, horror stories. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments and your horror stories. And don't forget to subscribe for our weekly podcast and leave us a review. You can find us on social media, and we'd love it if you join us in the Business Success Network for Disabled Entrepreneurs Facebook group. And if you like what you do, you can also buy us a coffee. Links for everything will be in the show notes. We will see you next week for community questions. Have a great day and keep track of your spoons. Spooky.